Welcome to the kill-death ratio, where I count every kill and every death. Today, I'm playing Resident Evil 5. Released in 2009, this entry saw the franchise stray further away from survival horror and into straight-up action with a roided-up Chris Redfield. It's the first Resident Evil to introduce cooperative play, but I'll be playing solo. And with more action means a bunch more kills, so let's dive into it. We catch up with Chris in Kijuju, a fictional city in Africa, as he's sent in to investigate suspected smuggling of BOWs, otherwise known as bioorganic weapons. He meets up with his BSAA partner, Sheva Alomar, and has a flashback of his previous partner, Jill Valentine, who apparently died. More on that later. He gathers himself as the locals look on in disgust at how huge those muscles are. Look at him, oh my god. We take control of Chris for the first time, and after trying to get in on that bag-beating action, the locals deny him and go home. Feeling dejected, we rendezvous with our contact and obtain our weapons. Resident Evil 5 switched up the item management system where we can now share and swap items between the two characters. When you play solo, it's a constant struggle to prevent Sheva from wasting resources. As we're about to head out in pursuit of Alpha Team, our contact asks us about some doomsday project named Ouroboros and tells us about some guy named Irving.
Must find the man named Irving. He is our only lead.
On our way out, we watch as some locals are feeding shit to old Billy here, who bum rushes us, but Sheva finishes him off after a mean stomp from Chris, which means it won't count towards my total. As we progress through the alleyways, a group of enemies block every route except for one. We escape and eventually enter a house where we witness our contact get executed in front of a cheering crowd. Chris and Sheva look on in horror, but at least it's not us, right? Shit! I spoke too soon. How did he even see us? This starts our first major encounter in the game, and just like in Resident Evil 4, we need to survive for a set time before the fight ends. Armed with 3 guns, my pistol, and my 2 giant fucking biceps, I kill 33 Maginis, much to the chagrin of this dude. Finally, help arrives and blasts the door open, which suddenly stops the Magini assault for some reason. We head towards Alpha Team's location, and as we both gain kills, we listen in as our partners are overwhelmed by something unknown. 8 kills later, we breach a building with this random blonde woman who turns into the world's lamest demigorgon. More Maginis rush in to assist the cephalo that emerged from the woman's head. Chris and Sheva are getting a taste of what Leon experienced, as the Plaga has now infected this region of Africa, and after a brief struggle with a lack of ammo, we kill off each enemy, then link up with Alpha Team to find them all dead and that Irving has escaped. We pass several dead BSAA agents with black goop dripping from the ceiling. Suddenly, a giant spaghetti monster drenched in squid ink called the Ouroboros drops down and attacks us. You can choose to waste tons of ammo here and shoot it, but it's much faster to lure it into the furnace and incinerate it. With that finish, we report to HQ that Irving escaped and that the locals are behaving in a similar manner to the Ganados that Leon met in Spain. HQ tells us to eat shit or capture Irving and hangs up.
You ever get the feeling you're expendable?
We enter a container yard that contains only death as I take down the Maginis and the newly introduced Ajuli that are named after a canine cryptid said to live in the northern region of Africa. Can we just take a second and pay respects to this man's bulge? We hop across a broken bridge when a truck takes a hard right and comes at us. We fail to stop it and Sheva gets smashed, giving me a partner death. I won't count Sheva's deaths towards my count, but in this case, the truck surely would have killed me too, so I'm gonna add it. I restart and Sheva succeeds in taking the truck out this time. I followed it up with a
running riot,
and then head into the drainage systems where some more dogs await their doom. We come out the other side, and this seems suspicious. Let me just give you a little pop. Oh look, it's a beautiful butterfly! These are called the Kipepeo, that translates to butterfly in Swahili. We take them and the Maginis out before making our way back into town to kill this jabroni. We grab a key off this dead guy, prompting a wave of enemies to rush us. After a few kills, Chris gets fucking rocked by this big man Magini, prompting backup to come to our aid. With their assistance, I gain enough kills to get my count to over 100, but the mutant butterflies overwhelm the chopper and force it down. We keep moving and eliminate the threats that keep on coming until eventually the Resident Evil 5 version of Dr. Salvador makes an appearance and charges us. I'm able to take out 3 Magini with grenades, but we get cornered and Sheva takes 1 for the team. I made a mistake thinking the game would save at a checkpoint, so when I quit out, it restarted me further back, forcing me to replay a small section and pad my stats a bit. I trigger the chainsaw guy again, running around the place killing off Maginis until I eventually down him and grab the key he dropped, when the motherfucker just stands back up like a goddamn slasher villain. I've had enough of his bullshit and book it to the gate. I shoot this crow to see if it drops anything and it didn't, so my bad. Beyond that is the helicopter crash site where we find it's far too late for the pilot when Evil Knievel Knievel comes flying in on a motorcycle and wraps Chris's ankle up with a chain, dragging him by his ass. Poopin's gonna hurt the next few days, my man. Sheva shoots the chain off as more Majini show off their bikes and flower mouths. Delta Team really hates motorcycles, and this ain't Sturgis, so they kill all the Majinis and we meet Josh. He provides some data leading us to our next destination, but Chris sees a picture of Jill, triggering more flashbacks of a cute tussle with Wesker. We head through a train yard, taking on more enemies, including these African wild dogs, before heading into the mines in search of Irving. This section is a test of patience with the AI partner, as you have to choose to kill enemies or carry the light around, and she won't shine it on them. Once we're out of the dark caves, we come up on a larger area where enemies swarm us. There's too many to contend with, so after running around for a bit, I back up and let them come to us to get picked off. Once we're out of the cave, we come face to face with Irving, and wait, is that his actual voice?
I'm a businessman with standards.
Before we get an answer, a plague doctor sporting heels flies in and pulls the little rat out the window. Using our detective skills, we discover he's headed to the Marshlands, but we need to get through a bunch more enemies before we get there. We clear out the rest of the mine operation before dropping into the next section with a little bit of foreshadowing. A Majini driving like a bat out of hell comes down the road and blocks our path. The back door opens and an actual bat from hell emerges.
What is that?
It's a fucking bat, Chris. How many hints do you need? Using mines and grenades to stun it, we shoot its earwig booty until a cutscene starts, where the Popo Karimo, which translates to generous bat, takes off and Chris shoots it down, where it's generous enough to die. Even though the kill happened in a cinematic, I'm still taking credit for it. Now that it's dead, one of our comrades picks us up and we man the turrets. This section is incredibly difficult for me to count accurately because Sheva is also using a turret and surely stealing some of my kills, so I relied heavily on the end of chapter counter for this one. We shoot a bunch of Majinis off bikes and trucks until we encounter a blockage. I counted 4 here before they hit us with a Molotov and kill us. Wait, what the hell? Chris is alive. I restart at the checkpoint, take out 6 more, then we continue driving where another 14 bikers are taken out as we escape their pursuit and enter a seemingly abandoned town with more dead agents.
What could have done this?
A motherfucking giant, that's what! This boss fight is repetitive as hell. You just shoot the El Gigante, Indesu, and its plagas while killing off the pesky Majini that pop up throughout the fight. Eventually the giant goes down and Chris offers Sheva a way out, but she pries, and Chris tells her about his search for Jill. This hits Sheva right in the feels, so she agrees to come with him.
We are partners. To the end.
We cut to our 2 heroes riding an airboat as Chris recounts the night he and Jill faced off against Albert Wesker, who not only fights like he's in the Matrix, but dresses like it too.
How much do clothes cost in the Matrix?
Wesker is about to show Chris Kane's finishing move when Jill tackles him out of a window into the rocks below. Then we get Sheva's backstory detailing Umbrella inadvertently killing her parents due to their illegal exploits in Africa. We reach our destination and pilot the boat around a small open area in search of slates to open the way forward. We stop by each little fishing village and take out the even scarier Majinis here who decided to don face paint and warrior garb and now possess some superhuman jumping abilities. I ram 5 Majini on my way out, and in the next village we encounter dinosaurs. I fuck around and kill one, which gets this croc angry, giving me my 3rd death of the game. Next time we simply run through here and dodge the crocodiles and kill the Majini that gets in our way. Now that we possess all the slates, we place them in the door and head into the next village, where we face off against a swarm of enemies, including the aptly named giant Majini who, oh my hell, Sheva, are you good? I killed 28 enemies and cap it all off with 2 snake kills. I find a note detailing the evil shit that went down, turning the locals into the Majini, convincing them to get a vaccine, which was actually the plaga. We hop on the air tram and straight into a crocodile feeding show. I take out the Majini here and I fail to dodge the hungry crocodiles not once, but twice on my way to press that big ass button so we can proceed. We come up on some tricell tents that are cause for concern for Sheva.
They're one of the companies funding the BSAA.
We find a notepad with data on the plaga's effects on the locals, so her concern is immediately justified. We enter the refinery and watch as Irving saunters away, so I snipe the 2 guards and kill a few more before another goddamn chainsaw Majini brutally kills Sheva. I reload the game and re-kill everything here and then murder that chainsaw-wielding maniac. Finally, some peace and quiet. Just kidding, because another chainsaw fucker drops down. Luckily this time we can simply run away, but these assholes attempt to block us out. So I blast one and run by the rest, where we meet up with Josh again and are tasked with defending that sexy ass while he does his thing. We take turns finishing off the Majini as they close in on Josh until he can get the elevator open. But more of them wait for us up top. Josh needs to unlock the metal door, so we defend him yet again as another chainsaw guy rushes us, only to get rocked by Chris's right hook as the door opens and we make our departure. Josh deduces that Irving is attempting to blow the refinery up, so he leaves to look for an escape route and we're left out on the docks. Irving's annoying voice echoes out,
"You two are just in time for the fireworks show! Boom!"
and we see the Plague Doctor race off on a speedboat. More enemies rush at us as a 2-minute timer starts, but I don't have time for that bullshit, so I only kill one of them, then run by the rest and jump on the boat to escape before things go kablooey. Soon thereafter, more Majini chase us only to get sniped, and then a bunch more are shot and blown up as we pass. We come up on a gate, prompting us to get out of the boat to kill more enemies so we can lift the gate and be on our merry way. We repeat those steps again as we dispatch a bunch more and get stuck by another gate to farm more kills. Without pursuers on our tail, we enjoy the silence when Irving's boat sneaks up on us somehow. Good thing for us, they put a stormtrooper on the turret who can't hit the broadside of my ass if his life depended on it, which it did. We board the boat and Irving injects himself with a plaga and is brought to a rolling boil. This is another repetitive boss fight as I continuously shoot Monster Irving until he appears at the back of the boat where I can shoot him directly until he dies. He blames someone named Excella for giving him a subpar plaga as he hints at the Ouroboros project that will change the world. We wind up in a cave and find the speedboat our beaked foe escaped in. Josh leaves us and we enter the caves to discover a new enemy, the Bui Kichwa, a plaga that escaped its host in search of another. I kill them to prevent them from using Chris's big fat biceps for evil, and then we happen upon an excavation site Indiana Jones would cream his pants over and Batman would shit his pants over. We drop down into the ruins when some dastardly Majini split us up. A few kills later, I'm over 500 and Sheva is back at my side. This area has a lot of treasure, so we spend time gathering it while we continue to pile the bodies up until we enter this suspicious looking room. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire! I run by them towards the closing door to step on the contraption to stop this nonsense from continuing. We turn the corner into a long hallway and step on another obvious button like they couldn't just jump over it. It's so fucking obvious, guys. This dumb fuckery leads to a death, so I do it over and observe these two doing a kick-ass coordinated dive under the closing door in the nick of time. The next room finds our heroes running up and down some more ruins, yanking chains, grabbing jewels, and killing fools until another Popo Karimu barges in. You can choose to stand and fight or run like a coward, which is what I did and I paid the price for it. I reload the game and this time I fight and use the RPG I picked up back in the swamp. We cut to Wesker getting injected by a woman trying to gain his favor. But Wesker is judgy as fuck. The Plague Doctor gives news Wesker doesn't want to hear as the woman taunts him.
Do I sense concern?
I have concern for you if you keep that up. Wesker sends them off as we get flashbacks to him killing Spencer, the founder of Umbrella and catalyst to this entire series. We flip back to Chris and Sheva as we enter the worship area of these ruins. To proceed, we have to find 3 emblems, which means venturing to both sides of this place. It's not going to be that simple though, as the Majini act like that one kid on the playground with a magnifying glass trying to burn ants. I go to the right side first and dodge the laser like a boss. Man, that was some bull stuff. Thanks to Sheva, I live to kill more Majini and pick up the first emblem. I place it in the door and head over to the left side where we see more of them guarding the next emblem. I bust out my trusty rifle and initiate the fight. I take down all Majini and keep a payo that come our way before ascending the stairs and yoinking the second emblem. A group of Majini corner us up here, so I toss a grenade for crowd control, which doesn't do much except kill the one butterfly. I'm not about to get stuck here with that giant Majini, so we run back and let the laser do most of the work, but the giant is unfazed by it, forcing me to unload on those motherfucking knees to earn the kill. One more emblem left. We pass the lasers and shoot this dirt bag to make our exit a little easier. I launch Sheva over the gap and assist in clearing the way while she grabs the last emblem. More enemies come at us, and one grenade kill later I decide we're done here and we run back to the door to leave this place. The next spot has snakes and a tarantula I add to the count and 3 rooms of laser puzzles to solve while killing a mob of the Bui Kichwas to increase our total count to over 600. We descend further into the earth to discover the underground garden and some dilapidated umbrella equipment along with tricell tents. Further along we find a journal serving as a lore dump with details on the Stairway of the Sunflower, which is where the progenitor virus was discovered, meaning every game leading up to this one outside of Resident Evil 4 all starts in this small underground room. There's more information on the shitty things they did to obtain the virus, like forcing locals off their land, but right now my main concern is that fucking liquor that's wandering the labs. We tread carefully as lickers can hear your silent but deadlies from a football field away, but this time they just jump through the glass and impale us with their tongues. Kinky. I take them out, no thanks to Sheva, and then she makes this super unnecessary comment.
Yeah, we wouldn't last in a fight with a whole horde.
Because that's exactly what happens. We escape the lickers and enter another lab when one of the containers randomly shits out a lifeless husk that prompts Chris to sprint at the computer and Google Jill Valentine, revealing this terrible cosplay because we all know she's a brunette. He has little time to follow up though, as the elevator takes us down to introduce us to the next boss fight, the U8 Beast. This gigantic crustacean is little more than a pushover, as I simply shoot the exposed parts of its legs to force it down so I can feed it something spicy. Eventually, it may release some small insects that can be killed to obtain additional ammo and grenades. Finally, Chris ends the fight with a classic one-liner, "Just die already!" and kills the monster. It's a shame it dropped into the void below because crab legs sound pretty good right now. But then Wesker's side piece, who we learn is named Excella and an employee of Tricell, FaceTimes us issuing vague threats.
There's nothing here worth throwing your lives away for.
I can almost guarantee she sent that BOW to eliminate us.
Yeah, no shit, Chris. I gulped down an egg, but Chris needs more than that to keep up with his gains.
Give me an egg.
Take this!
With that done, we head down the stairs, and now these guys have guns. Great. We utilize the cover to take them all out, and by we, I mean me, because Sheva's silly ass is eating bullets like candy. Nearly 30 kills later, we enter an elevator when their earpieces pick up bits of a conversation between Excella and Wesker that gives Chris a bit of a shock. Next up is a corridor filled with 11 lickers showing off their acrobatics, and after some carnage, we exit into a warehouse filled with conveyor belts and Magini. After a few minutes, we clear the floor of them and find another conveyor belt, but it's inactive and needs power. We run through this nest that will certainly not be a problem later. Right? Wrong. This new enemy is called the Reaper, a cockroach infected by the Ouroboros virus that absolutely sucks ass. They're tough as hell, and can one-hit kill us if we let it get too close. This time, we run by it and make our escape utilizing the newly activated conveyor belt. By we, I mean me again, because Sheva's got a big dumb AI brain and requires me to kill the Reaper so she doesn't get sliced up. With one tough enemy down, we earn the privilege of facing off against another one, this time in boss form. Excella talks up her vision of evolution or some shit as another giant spaghetti monster erupts from her test subject. This boss fight is fine in co-op, but my god, in solo mode, this fight was a burden. Sheva can't seem to use the flamethrower properly and gets her ass knocked around, needing constant saving and preventing me from shooting the weak points once it's been damaged enough. If I use the flamethrower, she takes little pot shots instead of unloading on it, and to top it all off, sometimes it just never shows its weak points. This lunacy resulted in my 9th, 10th, and 11th deaths, and another 3 for Sheva. I decided I had enough of this annoying bullshit and reloaded chapter 3.1 to grab the RPG. I exited out, replayed chapter 5.2 again, meaning I got another 60 kills to bump up my kill total to over 700, and as soon as it let me, I fired the RPG at the Ouroboros Mkono so I can move on. Next, we find ourselves in a warehouse where more foes fight to prevent us from moving on, but the only thing that can do that are the Reapers, as Sheva is useless against the first one and only useful in dying to the second one. I reload the game, and this time we succeed in cutting through the 26 enemies blocking us from the exit. We wind up on this familiar elevator again and head up top. But of course, we can't take a leisurely elevator ride in peace, as Maginis practically force us to kill them to increase our count to over 800. After all that death is behind us, we happen upon more ruins and finally a place not crawling with things trying to kill us. The bridge is up and the power is out, so in classic Resident Evil fashion, we need to do something a little convoluted to advance. I turn the power on and send Sheva up to flip the other switch, and right then, lickers emerge from their slumber. I'm tasked with defending Sheva, otherwise she's for sure gonna get licked. Instead of running, I make the decision to stand and fight, which proves too much for Sheva as she falls to the many tongues of the liquor pack in this room. The next time around, I choose to switch spots with Sheva, as I'm the one that goes up and outruns the liquors to the switch. I gather Sheva and we run off right into an encounter with Excella. Chris has a one-track mind.
Damn it, where's Jill?
When the beaked menace makes her entrance. By now you'd think Chris would make the connection and figure out who this is, but then Wesker enters and makes Chris feel like a dunce for not putting it together.
I would expect you to be happier to see us. So slow to catch on.
Oh my god, it's Jill? Nobody saw that coming. Capcom used the same face model from the first game, Julia Voth, and now rocking blonde hair because of the experiments done to her by Wesker. Jill then falcon kicks Chris and tosses Sheva to the ground with ease, initiating a 2v2 of Chris and Sheva versus Jill and Wesker. I run off to distract Wesker while Sheva does the same to Jill. However, I do my job poorly and lose Wesker, who then turns his attention to Sheva and adds her to his kill total. After some time, Wesker grows bored and heads out, leaving us to fight Jill on our own. The awesome soundtrack composed by Kota Suzuki kicks in, and we work together to restrain Jill and pull the device off her chest to return her to her natural state. She sends us on our way, where we watch as Excella and Wesker board a cargo ship. We board the ship and I use my sniper to take out some of the Magini early, along with the fools trying to rush us. I climb up for a better vantage point and completely missed the one guy I should have killed early, as he's responsible for trapping one of us later on in the level. The game continues to throw enemy after enemy at us when eventually it introduces the Davalia, which is like a more extreme version of the Cephalo. I've seen these things appear much earlier in the game, so it's surprising it took so long for me to run into one. It's added to my count, and we continue on when Sheva gets trapped and I kick myself for missing that one Majini earlier. I make up for it by ruthlessly taking out more enemies and a bunch more dogs. Finally, we come face to face with Excella, who behaves like a teenager caught watching porn, but somehow she's able to escape and drops a briefcase filled with syringes. Moving on, we fight a whole lot more Majinis until eventually we face off against the big chain gun Majini, who is a frickin' bullet sponge. He goes down and we grab his key card to enter a room occupied by rocket launching assholes. Wesker watches on the security cameras spouting off cliche bad guy lines.
Too bad you won't make it much further.
We flash back to Wesker and Spencer as they discuss their aspirations. Spencer wants to be a god and Wesker believes he is one and then punches Spencer through his torso. We cut back to our heroes as they approach a large pile of corpses and Excella stumbles in with a mean stomachache. After a riveting speech from Wesker about the New World Order, Excella barfs up some linguine. The Ouroboros gobbles up the nearby bodies and transforms into a towering mass that conventional weapons are useless against. We run away, initiating a QTE sequence I promptly fail for my 12th death. The next time we dodge its attacks and make it inside, but the Ouroboros still remains a threat as we have to dodge its attack attempts inside as well. A handful of enemies lie in wait, only to be taken out as a minor annoyance. Once outside again, we face off against the largest Ouroboros form, utilizing a satellite laser to deal massive damage to its weak points. During the battle, it will periodically send small piles of Ouroboros at us, and one succeeds in getting that final hit in and killing me. The second time I don't take any chances and kill 15 of the little fuckers throughout the altercation. After a few minutes, I deal the fatal blow with a single handgun bullet and watch as it freezes into a modern art sculpture. After that fight is over, we find Wesker getting ready to board a bomber filled with Ouroboros missiles so he can spread the virus around the world. Jill calls to drop a timely hint on how to defeat Wesker.
He must inject himself regularly with a serum.
With the cargo ship on fire around us, we increase our total kill count to over 900 as we fight an absurd amount of Majinis and a couple more Reapers, one of them dealing a death blow. Once they're defeated, we fight an endless amount of Majinis while we maintain focus on the two chain gunners. Sheva gets her shit rocked by one of them, but we soon take them both down and proceed onwards. From here, the rest of the game remains 100% focused on our feud with Wesker. He tosses those tight glasses at Chris and uses his moves to beat our asses and tell us this nonsense.
I'm not destroying the world, I'm saving it.
Wesker is in the Thanos did nothing wrong crowd, no doubt. This first encounter has us shutting the lights off to prevent Wesker from seeing us. It might help if you took your sunglasses off, Albert, just saying. We take advantage of his stubbornness and launch rockets at him. He uses his superpowers to catch the rocket, giving us time to shoot it and stun him. This allows Chris and Sheva to work together to stab him with the syringes we got from Excella. He gets big mad and jumps away into the bomber. We run after it and make it inside with seconds to spare. He rattles on about global masturbation or something, making our mission a bit more dire. This begins the second encounter with Wesker, which is purely a QTE sequence that Chris echoes my thoughts perfectly on.
I've had enough of your bullshit!
We open the hatch door in an attempt to rid this plane of Wesker, but he grabs Sheva's ankle and holds on for dear life. Chris looks deep into Sheva's eyes and sees that sacrificial look in them, triggering flashbacks to Jill doing the same for him. He isn't about to let that happen again and catches her. They crash into a volcano, that's right, a fucking volcano, for the final battle of the game. Wesker absorbs more Ouroboros to reach his final form.
To die, Chris.
Well, not me, Albert, but he does kill Sheva. He chases Sheva along another path, and this is where Chris punches a big-ass boulder into the lava so Sheva can use it as a bridge to rejoin me on this side. After a few minutes of running in circles, shooting his back, and then shooting his chest, Wesker finally falls. Josh and Jill come to our rescue, but Wesker isn't done yet. He grabs a chopper and swings it around, but like Chris said earlier,
I've had enough of your bullshit!
Sheva and I grab our RPGs and like true partners fire them at the same time to eliminate Wesker for good. Our heroes stare at each other in silence as they fly off into the sunset and we peek into the final numbers. I finished the game with 938 kills overall. That's still a lot, but not as much as Resident Evil 4. There isn't an endgame recap, just final chapter results I used to cross-reference my total. I didn't count Sheva's 11 deaths towards my total of 14, easily the most I've had in any game so far. There were a lot of ways to dispatch enemies, so we get this colorful graph that has a massive emphasis on Majinis. With 938 kills and 14 deaths, that gives me a kill-death ratio of 67. I beat this entry in 10 hours and 49 minutes, giving me a kill kill on average every 41 seconds and a death every 46.4 minutes, making this game the most action-packed so far. Released in 2009, Resident Evil 5 was a fun follow-up to Resident Evil 4, but it's definitely a game that's better played cooperatively. I had a lot more fun playing this on the Xbox 360 with my buddy than playing this solo, and that's mostly due to the poor partner AI. Let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you're a fan of The Last of Us, as the remake is out, and I'm looking forward to pivoting to that series next as I take a brief break from Resident Evil. I'm King Deschain, signing off until next time.